Let me see. How can you tell who's... All right, huh? Let's see who's here. Oh, we got one person on. Is it purple or is it blue that's on? Because I know there's two of you, right? And Ruins is on. That's my son, actually, Nicholas. So today I thought about doing like a little Q&A. Hi, Blue. So I thought about doing like a little Q&A today. For those of you who don't really know me, I know you've probably seen a few of my videos. So what kind of questions do you have? I know I've only got 2 people viewing right now, but we can start. I think we have quite a few people who are going live at the same time. I'm sitting here drinking some turmeric milk. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Turmeric milk is like, it's an anti-inflammatory drink. So I try to have that as much as I can, but this morning is a little bit of a challenge. So I went ahead and I made that. Some people drink it at night. I like to have it in the morning. Some people say it tends to kind of put them to sleep, but it doesn't do that for me at all. So just having a sip of that because it's been kind of a challenging last few hours. Let's put it that way. It's my favorite color. My favorite color is green. All shades of green. You'll notice I actually have 2 earrings in that are green. My eyes are also green, and I usually have there's a lot of green around. I wear things like jade, emeralds. I love green crystals, malachite. So green is my favorite color, always has been. Ooh, what made me want to start YouTube? Actually, I started YouTube several years ago because I was documenting an art project that I was working on. And I think I made about 4 videos and uploaded them. But at the time, I was a little ignorant about the whole monetization thing. And I didn't come back to YouTube until, I want to say, about 5 years later. I think about 5 years later. And all of those videos had thousands of views. And it wasn't until then that I learned about the whole monetization. So that's initially why I started, was to do the art. But I came back because I got sick and I wanted to kind of document my journey with chronic illness and how I overcome chronic illness, and just trying to post positive, inspirational messages regarding overcoming chronic illness. So that's why I came back. But it led into basically a documentary of my life, because illness is just a small part, or I just try to make it a very small part of my life. I homeschool, I garden, I have like a small farm in my backyard. So it's a lot more than just the art and just being sick. I actually try not to talk about being sick because I think it's not a very good thing. So I try to focus on wellness rather than illness. Hopefully that answers your question. So YouTube for me now, I think, is like a network. Ever since I got that, I think we all got the demonetization email, I've connected with a lot of really awesome people. So now YouTube, I think, is becoming more of like an extended family rather than just a place for me to upload videos and to show what I'm doing at any particular time. So it's YouTube has taken on a whole new meaning since the demonetization threats, if you know what I mean. So, Blue, what about you? What's your favorite color? Maybe it is blue, right? So I guessed correctly. So ruins. What about you? What's your favorite color? I notice that you're just silent. Any other questions? This is actually my very first live. That's why I thought about doing a Q&A. So, and I probably picked a time when a lot of people are at work, but this is just like a little test for me just to see how I live is very nerve-wracking. But well, actually, I shouldn't say this is my first live. This is my first live by myself. I actually did a first live with Pristine Space and H Graceful just a couple of nights ago. And that was a lot of fun. We did that in the Google Hangouts. What got me into gardening? Um, I think gardening is in my blood. I've always at some point had a small garden, but this is the biggest I think I've ever really gotten into it. And I did it primarily because I wanted to know what went into my food, like fertilizer, um, pesticides, or the lack thereof. So, because I know that there were a lot of things that were affecting me that probably caused me to become ill, I'm really not sure what triggered. I have lupus, at least my doctor says so, and a few other things. And I wasn't sure exactly what triggered autoimmunity. So I started growing a lot of my own vegetables because I really wanted to know, what went into growing my food. The things that I don't grow, try to buy organic as possible, and or I should say certified organic, because there are some things are out there that say organic but may not necessarily be. So I I'm I'm doing the gardening because I also want to teach my son how to grow his own food, as well as my two other children. And at some point, I think every child should. I think gardening is becoming obsolete because we're relying so much on the farmers out there that a lot of us don't really know how to grow our own food. So if I can just teach my own kids and maybe have them teach their kids at some point, then that one lesson I think I will have left a little bit of a legacy. But I'm doing it now because I also want to know what goes into my food. And it's so nice going into your backyard and picking a head of lettuce or picking some cabbage, or I grow a lot of moringa, picking the moringa, being able to dry it, that sort of thing. It just feels really good being able to pick your own food. It does. Looks like I got another someone else watching who's on. Sonia, and I also have Art Geek Design. Welcome. Thanks for popping in. Ask whatever questions you want. This is a simple Q&A session. Blue, hopefully I answered your question about the gardening. My grandmother is was a very strong influence on the fact that I grow my own foods now, because I grew up with my grandmother and she had a small farm in the backyard, and we were all involved in growing and in harvesting. So whenever I plant something or whenever I'm in my backyard, it's like I have my grandmother's presence always with me because of that. She was a very strong influence. Hmm? Well, Well, the gardening question was actually my son. So I guess you got that. I'm trying to do it for you, Ruins. That's his if by the way, guys, Ruins also he's my youngest son and he has a gaming channel. So if you guys can just pop over and show him some love, I'm sure he would appreciate it. What another question. What's your favorite artist or creator from the past? Oh, love this one. Um my favorite artist of all time is Vincent Van Gogh. Has to be. I absolutely love his work. My second favorite is Picasso, but Van Gogh is definitely my number one. Definitely my number one. I do have Starry Night. There's a print that my daughter got for me. I'm looking at it right now. So I have that, and actually the mug that I'm drinking out of, this is a Van Gogh painting. So ironic, isn't it? Um, so that is my favorite artist of all time. Um, Current artist that's still living. Um, I would say Simon Bull is definitely up there. I think he's one of the best artists of modern times. Chihuly, he's a glass artist, and he is one of my favorite as well. And I actually have a couple pieces, not done by Chihuly, but I created a few pieces in the likeness of his work that I have just above. And maybe I'll show that. Let me see if I can tilt the screen so you can see them. I don't know how clearly you'll see them, but there they are. And they're very light. They're actually made of a special kind of plastic. So that just melts in hot water. So, yeah, but Van Gogh is my favorite of all times. I don't know if any of you have heard of the show Doctor Who. There's an episode where the doctor and his companion travel back in time to help Vincent Van Gogh because they were at one of his exhibits and they see like a monster in one of the paintings. So they travel back in time and they meet him. But I think they're also attempting to prevent him from committing suicide. They bring him to the future, which normally they would be forbidden to do. And they're showing, they take him to one of his exhibits and the curator is just raving about his work, not realizing that Van Gogh is actually in there. And that episode, if you've ever seen the episode, I boohoo every time. Every time I see that episode, I just cry my eyes out because they take him back to his time period, and they realize that it didn't change anything. He still ends up committing suicide. And if you've ever read any of his diaries, he just led it was a really sad life. But his work is amazing. His work is really amazing. I'm trying to keep up with all of these questions. Mm. Awesome, Art Geek. Yes, I love Van Gogh too. And you are a Whovian. Oh, so I'm guessing you have seen that episode with where they take Van Gogh to the present day to see his show. What is your preferred medium to work with? I work in acrylics. I did start out with oils, but after a while they started to affect my breathing. So I got rid of the oils and started with I work I would say 100% in acrylics with my major work. But if I'm doing sketches and things, sometimes I work with watercolor pencils or charcoal pencils or the charcoal sticks. Which ones do I avoid? Right to this day, I avoid the oils. I do not use oils at all. Not oil pastels, not oil paints. No, I do not. That was one of your favorite. Yes. I could put it on right now, and even though I've seen it 101 times, I would still just cry my eyes out. It's just my favorite episode from Doctor Who, and I've seen every episode of Doctor Who, everyone. I'm a major Whovian. You cried too, yes. So you know what I mean, and it doesn't matter how often you see it. Who's here that I have not? Sonia, hi Sonia. I know you popped in earlier. Am I missing any questions? No. I feel free to say something, to ask a question. If you notice, I also have super chat. So if any of you feel called to donate, doesn't matter, small, large, always appreciated. I'm always buying paint. That's pretty much what I buy. Lots of paint. I've got brushes that are um, actually my brushes are. I buy the good quality brushes, so they're always in very decent shape, and I take really good care of my tools. Do you sculpt? Yes, I also create sculpture. I I sculpt in clay periodically, and I've also gotten to where I'm taking some of my artwork and turning them into three-dimensional sculptures in clay. I also work with another medium called Powerpole, and if you saw, there's a thrifted trash to treasure challenge that I did, and that was using the material called Powerpole. Um, I'm going to try to do a demo video actually showing how I do that. But some of my very first videos on YouTube were the power pole sculptures, and um, and it's basically I'm creating bronze sculptures, but it's using a fabric hardener. So I work with different fabrics, predominantly cotton fabrics, and I can create bronze looking sculptures or very dark sculptures, dark as in the color, but they're hard. And after about 2 weeks, they do something they cure, so I can put them outside and they're completely weatherproof after that. So I'm working now on creating a garden sculpture in the form of a dragonfly to add to my garden in the backyard. Yep. So I do. I actually was a sculpture teacher for about 7 years at a local private school up until I got sick, and I worked with high schoolers in the sculpture. But I also did small sculptures with my junior high kids as well because I also taught junior high. I don't know much about painting. It's okay. It's okay. You learn. I'm going to hopefully do a live one day when I'm actually painting, so you'll get to see my technique. Hi, Steve. I'm guessing you're a guitarist. I'm not sure if are we connected. Me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop over and make sure. What I'll do at the end of this, I'm going to go ahead and sorry, just make sure that I'm connected to all of you. I'm pretty sure I'm connected to you though, Steve. He is okay. Seeing his videos and following. I think I am too. Oh, that's right, the dinosaur video. Okay, yes. So we are connected. All right. Well, do you have any questions? Just feel free to ask. This is a simple Q&A. I actually homeschool, so my son Ruins, he is just waiting for me to get off of this so that he can. Well, I don't think he's really waiting. The longer he can put off school, yeah. The idea about homeschool is we can do it at any time of the day. So he's actually having some fun right now. I'm so glad you guys decided to pop in. I thought I was going to be alone here for the 15 minutes because I know that at 10 o'clock in the morning, a lot of people are at work, but some of you, YouTube might be your full-time job. So, generally, where in the world are you located? Not asking for a specific town because that's creepy. I actually live in Florida. I'm originally from the Cayman Islands, grew up in Jamaica, but I found my way to Florida through Arkansas and then Mississippi and then to Florida. I went to college in Arkansas and Mississippi. So I'm in Florida right now. I'm at work. Shh, okay. Yes, I do remember you telling me you're from Italy, Steve, and I think I said that whenever I come to Italy, we're going to connect, right? You've been all, yes, I have. I've actually traveled, wow, probably, I wouldn't say half the world, but I've been all the way over to Taiwan, Thailand, Holland, London, Dubai, Duran, Hong Kong, Mexico, Guatemala. I did a lot of traveling in my younger days. I haven't done so much now. I've taken my kids to quite a few places as well because I think it is important to see what other people in the world are like and the different cultures so that they realize that, the culture that they're in is not it. I'm in Florida too. Oh, Tampa Bay. I'm actually coming to Tampa um, tomorrow because I'm going to the Chinese New Year festival in Largo. I used to live in Largo many years ago, and just found out that they have a Chinese New Year festival and it's being held this coming weekend. So I leave tomorrow to go to that with my son, my youngest son. All right, Steve. I'm glad you popped in. Good to see you. Yeah, so if you get a chance, um, check it out. Just type in Chinese New Year Festival Largo, February 2018, and you'll see all of the information in there. And it promises to be a lot of fun. They've been having it for quite a few years, so I'm definitely going to be there on Saturday. Maybe we'll connect at the art festival. Who know at the Chinese festival? Who knows? I'll check on tomorrow, and you can let me know whether you're going to try to attend or not. Maybe we can connect. Yeah, sounds like a plan. So just let me know around the time that you'll be there, and we'll see if we can connect. That would be awesome. That would definitely make YouTube seem so much smaller, wouldn't it? Oh, Blue, are you also in Florida? Oh, what part of Florida are you in, Blue? Wouldn't that be something if Blue is also around the Tampa Bay area or Central Florida? Vero Beach. Okay. So that you're actually an hour, you're about an hour south of where I am, Blue. It only takes an hour for me to get from where I am because I'm in Central Florida. So it only takes an hour for me to get to Vero Beach. Excuse me. Yeah. All right. So any other questions? What I'm going to do is I'm working on a painting right now. I started it about 4 days ago. So I'm probably going to upload that by end of day tomorrow. But for another live, um, let me know what you think, what you'd like to see. But I'm also planning to do a live while I'm painting, so you can see what my technique is. And um, if you have any other ideas about lives that you'd like to see me do, I'm also an herbalist. I probably didn't mention that. So occasionally you'll hear me talk about the different herbs that I use. So and there's certain herbal remedies that I take on a daily basis. So maybe I'll do a video about that, or I'll come on and do a live showing the different herbal capsules that I take. Considering you've been all over the place, what were your favorite cultural bits from these areas? Okay. Taiwan. Went to Taiwan when I was about 17, and I actually went there to do mission work or volunteer work. In the morning, we had classes, and this is, I'm mentioning Taiwan because this is probably the one trip that has stuck in my mind ever. I will never ever forget this. I actually met up with teenagers from several parts of the world, um, and we all did volunteer work for 3 weeks. In the morning, we had classes, and some of our teachers were were ministers who had just been released from prison, because at the time that we went, martial law had just been abolished, and it was no longer illegal to be a Christian. So a lot of the teachers were just released from prison, and we they were our teachers for that morning. And then in the afternoons, we would literally do hard labor. By hard labor, I mean cutting through forests to get to these little schoolhouses that had been abandoned. We would find all these incredible organs hidden inside of these little buildings. I did some of the most interesting things. I actually spent a week. Actually, we all did. All of the young people that got together. We spent a week with a group of Buddhist monks in a monastery that was carved out of the mountain in Taiwan. It was the most interesting 3 weeks of my life, because we had three. I actually had a hurricane in Grand Cayman, where I was at the time. We had a hurricane, and then the day after that, I left. And within the 3 weeks that I spent in Taiwan, we had three typhoons and an earthquake. So in 3 weeks, I had one hurricane, three typhoons, which are technically hurricanes as well, just a different part of the world, and an earthquake. We traveled, oh gosh, we traveled throughout the island. We managed to crawl. I remember one time we crawled through this hole in the what looked like just a giant parking lot, and it opened up into like a cave, and it turned out to be where Christians used to hide to worship. And there were remnants of the Bible. There were chairs and tables still there. It gives me goosebumps to this day just thinking about it, and just the kind of freedom that we have that they did not have, and we're actually just getting it at that time. So that particular trip stands out the most. Guatemala also. I'm hoping I'm not overlooking any questions. Um, Guatemala also stands out, and Mexico, because I did similar work there. I think the majority of the trips that stand out to me are the places where I went and actually worked with the people and did volunteer work. I lived for a year in Mexico when I was 20, because I just felt that that was something I needed to do, because I I didn't come from a wealthy family, but I came from a fairly well-to-do family, and I wanted to kind of give back. And that year in Mexico was amazing. It was an I worked with an orphanage. The woman who ran the orphanage was 93 years old, and she had the energy of like 15 children. It was incredible. But the time that I spent in Taiwan, in Mexico, and Guatemala, I think were the ones that really stand out to me. And it's just because of, being able to see firsthand what people who were in need, and just the culture in itself. Oh, and I didn't mention the tortillas. Oh my gosh. I stayed beside a tortilla factory, and I was literally woken up every single morning by the smell, the aroma of fresh tortillas. So those are a couple of the little tidbits. It's just being able to volunteer. I think those were the countries that really stand out to me if I'm looking back. You really have to go there with a sense of, okay, I'm going into a new culture. I am going to immerse myself in the culture. I left Mexico being fluent in Spanish, but I left there with a whole lot more than just the fluency. It's just being the people, their culture. They've really stuck with me all of this time. And I think everybody should really travel when they're young, before you have children, because it just opens your eyes to, the different cultures and what you can really learn from other cultures. It's made me a totally different person, coming back from those kind of experiences. You cannot remain unchanged after having those kind of experiences. Hi, phone. I noticed you popped in. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry, I was just kind of yapping away and not even noticing who's coming on. Okay, so I think I'm going to do this for about another 5 minutes, so I can go ahead and start school. But I'm so appreciative of all of you stopping in. Really, really happy that you guys gave me the chance to attempt my first live. So thank you so much. And I think I am connected to all of you because I do remember. Yes, I think I am connected to all of you. So, do you have any ideas of what you'd like to see me do for future lives? And do you guys do future lives? And do you give? I'm pretty sure that I'll see them in the notifications because I'd love to come on and support you all as well. Thanks, Blue. I'm so glad you came. Paint your life. Yes, I do. Last year, I actually did 101 days in which I basically created 101 paintings that had something to do with an experience that I was going through at the time. And I did make videos about those. But a lot of my work has to do with life experiences. They're not, my artwork is not negative in any means, in any way. When you look at them, sometimes you might wonder what the message is. And they all have a name. There's always a reason why I paint certain things. And actually, the one that I'm working on right now is it's actually the interpretation of a dream that I had. And the dream has a lot. The dream that I had really was kind of a manifestation of something that was going on with me at the time. I'm not going to say much more. When you see the painting, when I reveal the painting, I will actually discuss what it means, and what I was experiencing at the time so that you'd have a better understanding. So maybe I will finish the painting and actually do a live of that so we can, have a little chit chat back and forth. But yes, I do paint my life experiences. What about you, Art? Do you what kind of you said you sculpt? You said you do you paint? What's your specialty? Who's still here? Okay. Yeah, I did start out doing all different kinds of art. And I actually have a sketchbook that's over 20 something years old that's kind of falling apart right now. But I still keep it around. And when I flip through, there's watercolor, there's charcoal, there's pen and ink, there's a lot of different things in there. So, but now I just focus on the sculpture as well as the acrylics. Two of her students taught you. How did that feel? You know what? I taught, like I said, I taught art and sculpture, and I ended up having my oldest son and my daughter in both of my classes at some point. I taught them in seventh grade, eighth grade art, advanced eighth grade, and then eventually I also taught my son in high school sculpture. And that was an experience because you try having to separate being the mom to be, from his art teacher or sculpture teacher. Oh, that's awesome. You went to college for animation, learned web design. Okay. One of the things I taught my advanced eighth grade students was how to do stop motion photography. And I think there are a couple of the videos that they did that I actually posted on YouTube because I've always been fascinated with animation, how to do animation. So stop motion photography was one of those ways that we attempted, and they turned out pretty good. Yes, you can't really have kids and not have, if you're creative, chances are they're going to get your creative gene. And that's happened with all of my children. My oldest son, he's a dancer, and he also paints, and I have some of his work hanging up in my room. My daughter, she is into fashion design and modeling, and she sings. She also draws. She's not necessarily a painter, but she actually went to college to study fashion design. My youngest son, he's also an artist. So I think they've all been, I used to tell them they've been cursed with the creative gene, but it's a blessing being creative. I think the world needs as many creatives as possible. She's 6. And I hope that it just continues because one of my favorite sayings by Picasso, he said, "Every child is an artist, but the challenge is remaining an artist when you grow up because you feel that as you get older, your creativity, you kind of throw that to the wayside and you focus on what you think you're supposed to focus on, which is going out and getting your job and making you this money and forgetting that you really do have that creativity still embedded in you." So yes, I fully believe in Picasso's quote. It is a challenge trying to remain creative when you get older. So I'm hoping that she does, and having a parent who's a creative, I'm sure will help. Hi Noor, how are you? Good to see you. You're so supportive of my channel, and I'm trying to be of yours as well. I think the challenge is that I really don't speak Hindi, but can learn. Artist way. Okay. Yes, it's true. We do have to remind ourselves that we are creatives. I think everybody is a creative person, but it's just been like repressed as they've gotten older. So years ago, when I got ill, I think that also helped to propel me even further into using artist therapy because that's one of the things I also use art for. I work with a lot of community agencies, and I teach art to the kids, but it's more in a therapeutic sense, not necessarily trying to teach a particular technique. Exactly, exactly. Artistic pursuits are good and solid and right. That's true. I've noticed in the U.S. it's really the money thing comes first, and the irony is, a few years ago I used to paint at an area. Now and literally it's now a parking lot. It was a really nice preserve, and they paved it over. And the song, you pave paradise and put up a parking lot. This is literally what they did. But before they did that, I used to go out there to paint, and I used to meet up with a few other people, and several of them were surgeons, and they said that was their way of, I guess, their therapy basically. And they said that they were painting long before they even thought about becoming doctors. And it's something that they go back to every time. Any free moment that they have, they paint. So we would meet out there, and yes, they were making a lot of money with their medicine skills, but they said that ultimately what they love to do is to paint. So it was just really nice being around them and just knowing, yeah, painting is so just being creative. I don't necessarily paint all the time. Sometimes I'm just using a pencil and drawing, but it's just very therapeutic. And I don't know what I would do if I couldn't, to be honest. So any other questions? I think we now have I think maybe two of you that are still on. So what I think I'm going to do is, if you have any further questions, or just give me some tips on what you'd like to see me do in the future. I think that's what I do go back to animation now and again. I have some snippets on my channel with that. I would definitely check them out. But I love to illustrate and draw monsters too. You know what I also got into? Manga. I started to learn how to do that. And learning, I don't know if you've ever tried to draw monsters in the manga style. It's really, really neat. So maybe do something experimental. Yes. Yes. Okay. I will definitely do that. Totally outside. I think the painting that I just did was completely outside my normal flow. Because like I said, it was inspired by a dream, and I try not to force the particular dream into the technique that I normally would do. So I think this when you see this and you can compare it to a few others, that's what I will do. I will have the current painting that I'm working on, and I will show you some of the other ones, and you'll see that this one is much freer in its application of the paint than the others that I've done in the past. Even a few months ago, you'll see the difference. So yes, but I also have a sketch that I have on canvas already, so maybe I will use that and I will just get started and we'll do a little bit of a chit chat as I work as well. All right, so it's about 10 to 11 my time. I should probably sign off here and get ready for school. Actually, I have to go and make some brunch, and then we'll get started on school. It was really nice being with all of you. I really appreciate the support, and really nice talking to all of you. This was actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Not as nerve-wracking, but it was really nice. Thank you so much. I will see you guys later, and if you all are doing any lives at any point, I will definitely know because I'm pretty sure I clicked the bell on every single one of you, so I will know. All right? Yes. I will look forward to your message to see about Saturday. All right. So I will talk to all of you soon, and thank you again. Bye, guys.